This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're at the Sauerland HQ here, somewhere in the world. He's back.
Guess who's back? Yeah, back in town. How are you, Coog?
I'm all good, mate, all good. Just, we've been doing that today, haven't we?
Yeah.
One of them.
Elbows.
One of them.
Elbows. And we have kept the strict meter between us. So before we start, Coog, did I see you interview Mayweather the other day on a stage?
You may have, Kalle.
Question one. Question two, were you wearing a blazer, like suited?
I was wearing a blazer, yes.
It was on a picture, I couldn't enlarge it, and I saw you wearing a blazer. It's just, you know, you always turn up with your trendy coats and, you know, to interview me and the rest of the riffraff of the boxing periphery. But then to see Mr. Mayweather, of course, you put on a suit. I felt a little bit, I mean, we must have done a couple of hundred interviews over the years. Never seen you wearing a blazer for me. Feeling a bit, what's the word?
I'll tell you what, the next time I interview you, you can pick my outfit. So if you said, wear a skirt, wear anything. Yeah.
You've gone from the Stone Islands, you're on the Balmains today. I see you've had, recently it was a Prada. What's up with the Stone Islands?
Stone Island's still there, but you've got to be in the mood for Stone Island. You know when you want to go and have it.
I live and breathe it. How are you otherwise?
I'm all good, I'm all good. Obviously, we'll come on to talk about kind of the euphoria that's hit the country. But the world, obviously. But Kalle, can I just, first of all, obviously you have an event, which we're going to come on to, Dorticos and Briedis next week in Riga, Latvia. Can you kind of give us, first of all, an update to let us know if there's any risk of this show not going ahead next week?
Well, I think, first of all, at the moment, I'd be talking very much out of my turn and far up my pay grade if I was making decisions on something I've got no idea about. And, you know, I saw recently an interview from Jurgen Klopp, and I think he put it quite rightly. I said, you know, I don't think any of us can really comment. You know, I mean, what am I supposed to say? I mean, if it's, normally if there's an injury or other reasons, and I'm trying to work out other things that could postpone an event, but this is all new, isn't it? And, you know, everyone's got an opinion on it. Everyone's got a prediction on it, on how it's going, and everyone's sort of turned into a doctor and a professor overnight. And off camera, I might have those opinions as well, but I'm not going to go out there now and say what I would be recommending for the nations, and especially not the nation of Latvia, and putting on an event. So we're going ahead until we are told otherwise. You know, there's obviously things we need to look at, travel restrictions that are popping up every hour. Was up at 3 a.m. this morning talking to the Americans on how that affects that part. You know, there's officials from America. So, you know, it's obviously a big event. It's a big operation. But is Kalle the one to tell us what the solution is on putting events around the coronavirus? I'm certainly not. And I certainly will not be giving advice to anyone. And at the end of the day, they're athletes, and if you know, it's their living, their livelihood, and if they are not prepared to box under those conditions, then, you know, that's, I can't give advice to someone. That is a very personal decision. So I think it's crazy times, isn't it? You know, if you would have told me at New Year's Eve this year we're going to be facing the first quarter of this year and what do they call pandemic? You know, everyone going on yesterday. That was classic, wasn't it? Pandemic. I bet you how many people, including myself, Googled what is a pandemic, right? After that, I thought it was a type of panda bear, right? I mean, a pandemic, right? So, I mean, I've heard of an epidemic, I've heard of a lot of different things, but a pandemic? So, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You know, we're talking about a virus that, you know, some people are calling it a mild flu. Others are saying it's a lethal illness and it's going to wipe out the planet. So it's probably somewhere in the middle, I'd guess. But once again, you know, it's crazy, crazy times. And with regards to events, like any other promoter, you've seen the NBA yesterday. You've seen, I hear the tennis season's being cancelled for 6 weeks. The thing is also, when you postpone, if you have to postpone, when do you postpone to? So it's not like, oh, he's got a shoulder injury. Doctor says 4 to 6 weeks plus 2 weeks, etc. You know, you can move and you can. We don't know what we're. I was speaking to other promoters this morning. I said, how are you doing it? And we're all, we're all somewhere in the same boat, and it's crazy, and it's going to affect a lot of stuff, but we just don't know what and when. It's like travel ban from the US from Friday night. Well, how does that work? So from Friday night, so what's going to happen now? It's like everyone, I wouldn't like to be in an airport now. So everyone's trying to get on a plane before Friday night. Why wasn't it with immediate effect? It's weird. Or there's another one I saw today. I said, from next week, Wednesday, we're going to close this school. Well, why are you closing it now? But these are just, I guess, people on the street questions, It's like, what do you say to that? Why? If you're going to do something, do it now. Yeah, it's just weird.
Okay, so as far as your event next week in Riga, what's the date today? Today is Thursday the 12th?
Yeah.
Is it 12th? Yeah. 12th, around midday. As far as you know, to this point, everything's okay, yes.
The latest we've been told, there is a government meeting today. They meet every day, apparently, at the moment. There's announcements every day. We see it at the present time, we certainly have an event. Can that change? Yes, unfortunately, it can. Do I know any more? No, I don't. I know exactly what everyone else can look on the internet and see what the situation is in Latvia. I believe there's 16 cases. 10 of those came off one plane from northern Italy. That's all out there on the net. That's not Kalle's internal 007 knowledge. It's just the way it is, I wish I could say more,
Okay, well, let's talk about the fight, because it's a brilliant fight between Dorticos and Briedis, which is now being confirmed as it's going to be shown live on Sky Sports in the UK, so brilliant for UK fans to watch that, obviously, here. But the fight itself is what it says. It's Ronsil, isn't it? It says what it is.
It is what it is. It's number 1 versus number 2 of the division. Whatever independent rankings you look at, these are 1 and 2 head and shoulders above the rest. It's a culmination of some great fights we've had already in the tournament. But, we raised the bar very high with the first 2 finals. So these boys have got to really put on a show for us. But you look at the styles, they blend, and you look at those. I get that same feeling as before the Briedis-Usyk and the CASSIUS-Dorticos semi-finals, and they were, both of them were fight of the year contenders, and I just think we're up for another special treat. When you put the best against the best, I keep on saying it, but I keep on proving myself right. It does bring out the best in them. And they've been through. Don't forget, we had the hold up with the old WBO situation after the Glavatsky semi-final, so that held it on ice as well. So, they've been in a long camp. These boys are going to be absolutely raring to go.
That's Riga next week, and we've spoken about this in the past. Where, the major benefit of this tournament is that you kind of are pushing these fights to happen, and it's great for us fans, but it's all right. Careful. Where's your mask? Where's the mask? But we're being pushed into a situation where I'm going to use this term in a kind of a good way, but they're forced to fight each other because of the tournament style, and obviously the best prevail to the final, and we're getting to see that. And some of the fights that we've seen through the World Boxing Super Series over the last 2 or 3 years, we wouldn't have seen those fights without. We
would never have seen most of those fights, especially in that space of time as well. You wouldn't see that sort of that level against that level on that consistent basis. It's purely, constantly consistent. That's what we've done from day one. It's been consistent viewing pleasure for the fans, and it's what these guys go through. Don't forget, they've gone through amazing fights all the way through the tournament, but actually the cruiserweights, especially obviously the 2 in the final, they came out the first season as well. So they've been doing this for 2 years. Yeah, so they went through first season, second season. So it's incredible stuff. But it is always great to see when you've got the number 1 versus the number 2, there's no discussions about that, in that weight class, fighting each other, you know it's something special. And, you know, we're going to keep on doing that time and time again.
Just sticking with, obviously, the WBSS, have you kind of decided yet what the next weight categories will be? Or can you reveal any of that to us?
Yeah, I mean, let me start. I mean, from you know, for us, we want to bring this season now finally, and barring any coronavirus decisions, to a successful ending. And I think it's been a tremendous first 2 seasons. We had actually last week a big workshop in Switzerland where most of the team is based, and we looked at a variety of different things. I'm going to come to the weight classes in a minute, but we looked at, obviously, you know, it's a monster of an operation. We've got a timeline challenge on how to fit ourselves into that sporting calendar. These guys are experts. You know, a lot of them have come from different sports, not necessarily the sport of boxing. They're working at the moment on putting those timelines into place, the logistics around it, the production we do. It's not like we pop up in a country and take the local production. We travel with that production. So just, you know, it's a bit like a rock band going on tour. You finish the tour, everyone's a bit knackered, but you've got to pull your socks up and get ready for the next one. And that's where a little bit where we're at the moment is organising the timeline around it, the weight classes, and the production around it, and the weight classes is something that I've been working on for already. I'm constantly working on because it's constantly changing. So the process, just so that everyone understands though, is it's not, you know, Kalle picks the bantam weights and we go off and do the bantam weights. So my job is, together with my team in the sporting division, is to go out and assess those weights, create a short list, rather long short list still. We're at 5 to 6 weights at the moment. And those 5, 6 weights are then taken to the board, and the board will make the final decision based on our proposals. That's how it works. So it's not, you know, Kalle wakes up in the morning and says, oh, well, I fancy the bantam weights today, and, you know, off we go. It's not like that at all. I've already said many times the weights that I've considered interesting. You know, I think I've told you as well. I think the flyweights are very interesting. I think the super flies, I think the middleweights are very interesting. Light heavies. I think the female in a catch weight around the lightweight division is very, very interesting. Great fight with Katie Taylor-Serrano. Shows that level in that and the depth. 2-3 years ago, you said to me, yeah, female, would you do a female tournament? I'd probably say, yeah, you could do one from the semi-finals. You couldn't do a WBSS quarterfinal, semi-final, final. It's not the depth. The depth in the females around that weight now are amazing. So definitely looking at the females as well. But, you know, we're gonna have a lot of fan interaction. We've got a few things coming out after the final, where we're gonna do some interesting fan events. I'd love to involve you in that as well, KUGAN. You are the man of the people, I always say. You're a voice to the nation. He's blushing, and you know, we'll do stuff where we can actually for us, it's very important to get feedback in and to work around that. And of course, there's weights that we can't do. We know that. There's weights that are very difficult to do politically. But you know, I think we set the bar so high. You know, we're not gonna rush into the decision. And at the same time, we've also got to now look at the sporting calendar. This year's a very busy year as well, obviously with the Olympics and the Euros still planned. Once again, going back to earlier in this discussion, we don't know. Now on top of that, we've had this coronavirus outbreak. So to go out now and announce the season next week ain't going to happen, and would be a big mistake, because I think a lot of things are going to be happening in the next couple of months. So, yeah, stay patient. Season 3 well underway, well in the way of planning. But stay patient on that.
Okay, I think you've explained all you can in that instance. Kalle, obviously, I think the last time me and you spoke was prior to Tyson Fury and Wilder, and you know, you kind of made
called it.
Yeah, you did.
Called it. I called it. Ha ha! I got the round right.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch that, actually. What?
Second round, I called it.
All right, it wasn't the second round. What are you on about? Seventh round.
I called the 7th. No. Of course I called the 7th round. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No, but what?
Tyson said the second.
Tyson said the second. Tyson said the second. But what you did say in that, you said that kind of the heavyweight scene as it stands is all possible when it's all happened because of Tyson Fury. And now it feels like, you know, he's kind of not reclaimed because he never actually, that was the belt that he didn't have, the WBC, but it does feel like Fury is kind of back where he belongs.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, a lot of people said, oh, you're going to do a WBS heavyweights. 100%. We haven't got Muhammad Ali as our ambassador, as our virtual ambassador, and not going to go aim to do the heavyweights. Of course we're going to do the heavyweights. But I promote a lot of heavyweight champions and different periods of boxing, and sometimes a WBS would have been very helpful. And at the moment, I don't see it because forget everything else around politics and what it would take to make it happen. It's actually performing, isn't it? You know, look at the fights being made. I mean, I think White against Povetkin, blinder. I think Joyce Dubois, blinder. I think the Usyk Chisora is a great fight. I think it's a great fight. And of course, then you've got the two big ones, so to speak, with obviously with the third fight with Tyson and then Joshua-Pulev, you know. And add to that, you've got guys coming in. You know, I keep on blowing Filip Hrgovic's trumpet, but you know he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Second half of this year, I see him taking some very big fights. You know, so. And there's other guys as well. So I'm just blowing his trumpet at the moment, but there's other guys as well that are going through. I saw Jagma, F.A. Jagba had another win last week, although he's looked a bit shaky in a couple of fights. He's also a big talent. You know, what is Tony Yoka's game? You know, fights announced, not announced, you know. It's exciting times at the heavyweights. It is, but it is sort of doing its thing at the moment, you know. So you've always got to look at the ecosystem of what you're doing, and I think the heavyweight business at the moment is performing, and people are working together, you know. So I think, you know, and obviously everyone hopes that, you know, Fury Joshua gets made, but I think it's a bit risque to be talking about Fury Joshua right now. If you look at, you know, that Tyson's got to come through Wilder. We mustn't forget Wilder can punch, you know. Tyson, by his own admission, would say, you know, it's a dangerous fight. So of course it's a dangerous fight. He hasn't become a pussycat overnight, you know. Deontay Wilder hasn't lost his punching ability overnight. Yes, Tyson worked out. You put him on the back foot. Like Tyson worked out in the Klitschko fight, you don't try and knock him out, box him. He outboxed him for 12 rounds. Everyone else tried to rip his head off because he was knocked out 3 times in his career. So everyone thought, he's got a weak chin. I'm going to go try and chin him. But unfortunately, when you try and chin Klitschko, he'll generally chin you at some stage. He bided his time. He beat Klitschko on a game plan. He beat Wilder now on a magnificent game plan. Put him on a back foot, impossible. He's not one of those fighters who can throw that right hand off the back foot. We saw it for the first second. He could talk about his outfits, his gum shields, the gloves, whatever it is. But the one factor that he forgets is that maybe he's got to go to camp now and learn how to throw a right hand off the back foot, because I wouldn't expect Tyson to do anything different the next time round. Why should he? You know, it's not a game plan that you know you can really combat. It's very difficult to combat once you've got that number. So the only number that Deontay must try and learn and adapt and bring in is that, you know, horizontal movement and actually throwing a big right off the back foot. You know, is that possible? Probably not. But is it something you would bet your house on? No, it wouldn't be. Same with Pulev Joshua. I mean, you know, Joshua had a very shaky last year. We don't know what Pulev's got left in the tank. 3 years ago, I would have said Pulev has got a real shot. I don't know what he's got left in the tank. That's the thing. And I don't know where Joshua is. And do they start to overlook what they're doing for this fight? So I think it's great that people are talking about making the fight, but I think, you know, it's also a fight that, you know, it's good to have the deal in place, but there is still 2 fights to get through.
Just picking this back up here with Kalle Sauerland. Tyson Fury pretty much told the media and the world what he was going to do, and everyone thought it was kind of a bit of a bluff. It was kind of Fury-esque. Yeah. Didn't really take too much notice of it. But then, as the opening round went, we thought, well, actually, maybe he is going to do what he said he's going to do. Apart from the 2 round, he pretty much called it spot on. Were you surprised by them tactics?
No. Like I said, I called it, Coog. I called those tactics. I called the result. So, no, I wasn't surprised. But, yeah, I mean, I was surprised a little bit at the resistance of Wilder, but I've looked at the fight 2-3 times since, and if you analyse the movement, it's not really surprising that he didn't have Tyson has the ability in big fights to pick that tactic. I've said it before. I've said he's a guy, when people ask him in an interview, when did you start boxing? He never started boxing because he was born into boxing. He comes from a line of I don't know, his great-great-great-grandfather was also probably a fighter. So he has been brought into that world of pugilism. So he has a boxing mind. There's things that other boxers do much better than Tyson Fury does. But the thing is that he knows how to put the weapons, I mean fists in that case, or movement, or different aspects you can use in a ring. He knows how to use those in a ring better than anyone else at this moment in time. And that is something that, yeah, of course you get that moment. You know, the moment in the first Wilder fight when he went down a couple of times. Yeah, there's nothing guaranteeing that he won't get back. You know, he might not get back up. And that could happen in the third fight. That's all I'm saying is that, you know, you've got to keep your eyes on the prize. How often have we seen in boxing big fights being made or verbally agreed, or we all know it's going to happen, and then at that last hurdle, and those last hurdles are normally picked opponents. Deontay Wilder is not a picked opponent. You know, we can't go from saying the guy was was WBC world champion 3 years straight, knocked out Ortiz in his last fight. Let's not talk about the whole performance, but on paper he knocked him out. Yeah, he's had some tremendous results. Yes, definitely won't go down in the history of boxing as being the greatest boxer, but will certainly go down as being one of the biggest punchers. I don't put him as the biggest puncher personally, but as one of the biggest punchers, that's already an amazing feat. So, you know, I just think we have to look. He's not, you know, yes, he might be damaged goods, but damaged goods are dangerous goods sometimes, especially if they can punch, right? So, I just think, you know, everyone wants to see that fight. I would love to see, you know, Fury, Joshua, without a doubt, you know. But I think it's a bit away. When the negotiation is very good, and to get a deal in place, great. But don't forget there are 2 big fights in between.
I think the Andy Ruiz defeat last year kind of highlights this fact of everyone talking about Joshua Fury now, and rightly so as well, because obviously they share all the belts and they're our fighters here. So understandably, they're being spoken about for a potential fight later in the year. But you're talking about, like I said, Pulev and Wilder are not just potential banana skins. I think it's safe to say it's a lot more than that.
I mean, like Tom Schwartz, Otto Wallin, those are banana skins. Right? This is not a banana skin. This is a massive cone in the road that you're going to have to cut around at very high speed. You know, it's not some banana skin you ain't seen coming. You know, Deontay Wilder is not a banana skin. He is Deontay Wilder. Yeah? Pulev, I think, is much more manageable, but Wilder is Wilder. You know, I mean, let's not forget he was 3 years straight world champion. So it's a great. The third fight will be a great fight. Will interest me very much as well. You know, will interest me very much as well. But it is. It's exciting times, though. You know, the one thing that I don't quite work out is how they're going to get it for all the belts. I don't see that happening.
What, with Usyk in there as well, or Chisora.
Usyk or Chisora. I mean, you know, the winner. I mean, I'm not sure if that's an eliminator now or not. I don't think it is. But if Usyk should win, which is not a given, but if Usyk should win, then there's no way that Joshua Fury could be in the autumn, December, whatever it is, for the WBO belt. You know, that people will say, oh, but it, you know, so should be, and it whatever. Well, it should be, could be. This is professional boxing, and Usyk's also got a right to fight for the title. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, just the way it is.
So I suppose the message there really is, don't get carried away. Let things play out and see what happens.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that great fights are being made by various promoters at the heavyweight at the moment, and that's good for boxing. At the end of the day, you know, the welterweights and the smaller weights, they all came up in the absence of heavyweight boxing. You know, heavyweights, when they were controlled by the Klitschkos, and the Klitschkos did a great job. They did a great job at making everyone else, nullifying everyone else. So the division was relatively uninteresting for the rest of the world. So at that time, especially in America, you got the likes of Floyd Mayweather would never have been Floyd Mayweather if you would have had Mike Tyson at heavyweight. Never. It would never have been that status, because he took that pay-per-view king status because there was no heavyweight pay-per-view king. You know, that's a fact, you know. Bigger is sometimes a lot better.
So yeah, that's pretty much kind of summed up. Go on.
That's not saying that the best fights are not at lower weights. You know, we saw WBSS at Inouye Donaire last year, Taylor Progress, lower weights. We've been fed a lot of crap at heavyweight for a long period of time. So it's refreshing and it's great to see these fights being made, you know. Povetkin White, great fight. Great fight. And I've got to say, I mean, the situation with Didion and the mandatories is incredible. But at the same time, look at the people he's fought while he's waiting. Yeah, that says a lot as well about Didion White. Yeah? And Povetkin, he just keeps going, you know. Was my first heavyweight world champion. It's 10 years ago now. And, you know, he's got, his stamina's not what it used to be. I think he'd be the first to admit that. But he was never really, he'd never had the greatest stamina, to be fair to him. But he's can be potentially lethal in the first, especially in the first few rounds. But he will come charging out. And, you know, I just think about this couple of fights where Didion started quite slow. If I remember the Hellenius fight in particular, I remember that one. And the recent, I can't remember who he fought against. Whack as well was a slow start. If he has a slow start with Povetkin, it's going to be a tough night. You know? You know?
A lot of heavyweight action coming up between now and the summer, so yeah, that's a win-win. I do want to ask you about a fight that we're expected to hear confirmation of very soon in Billy Joe Saunders fighting Saul Alvarez Canelo. Interesting fight.
You know, Billy Joe is first of all technically a great fighter. I think he's also got a bit of that Tyson thing about he knows he's very good ringmanship. He's very good at knows his boxing. Ringmanship is that? Did I just make up that word? Yeah. Have you heard that word? Yeah. Ringmanship. It just came out. Yeah, ringmanship. Right, I'm going to call it ringmanship hashtag. I think he's going to even run for his money. You know, I really do. He's, you know, my brother said it the other day as well. He's one of those guys, Billy, who he seems to just navigate it just above the zone that he needs to be in. I can't think of many fights where he's excelled in himself. You know, I can't think where he's overperformed. I can think of fights where he's performed, and he's performed to that level to beat the opponent, but he can raise the bar 100%, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting fight. Very interesting fight. I think Canelo the favourite, but close to the time I'll be making my tip, exclusively here, live on IFL TV in association with MTK Global, and I just fancy Billy Joe in it. I don't know why. Same way as I picked Fury Wilder to the round, I might do the same on that one.
We'll get an update from you nearer the time. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or like to add, or like to slip in, or?
No, I think let's hope that everyone stays safe for these crazy times, you know. Nothing really else to add in today, you know. I'll be seeing you next week. I'm sure I'll come up with something by then. Didn't know you'd give me that opportunity. You never say that to me. Would you like to add something in?
Well, you might have something you wanted to say and you're thinking to yourself, is he going to ask that or not? And there might be something you want to say that's not coronavirus related.
It's difficult at the moment, isn't it? No, I think I'm good. I think next week we'll have another conversation. I think it's under slipping.
Don't worry, the microphone was kept in quarantine over the last 48 hours in a plastic wrapper, so you are quite close to the mic. It's closer to this.
Start licking it.
I can't believe some people actually think coronavirus comes from the beer. I mean, oh my God. Do you know they've like rumoured to be like losing like over 100 million?
But is that true? Because my brother came up with that as well. I can't believe people are that stupid, are they?
No, I can believe that people out there that believe that, yes, but whether they've lost 100 million... No, there are. Of course there are people that think, oh, coronavirus. Oh, just to be safe, let's just keep away from the beer.
I think you're talking about a certain nationality. I'm not going to go there.
No, I don't know what nationality, but I'm just saying that there are people out there that would think that. Like, they'd look at that and think, not know what really coronavirus is, and just think, oh, it's written on the beer. Like, how stupid could I be to actually drink that?
Good to know the rounds that you socialise in, KUGAN. I must say that...
No, I said there's people out there. It's not in my circles.
I'm a man.
I will find you someone.
I will not stop drinking Corona, especially when it gets warmer. Nothing better than a Corona and a slice of lime.
All right, that's your tipple. That's your tipple. What else is your tipple?
Maybe come on. Lots of tipples, especially around the summertime. It's good gin and tonic. I think that's also Corona-free. But no, I mean, joking aside, I'm just thinking about what you just said. I mean, is it really? Can people be that stupid? I mean, if they're really losing all that money at Corona, I feel sorry for Corona. I'm sure they've made enough money, but still, it's, you know, one mustn't get. I mean, once I said at the beginning, I wasn't going to give any advice. I just think personally, from my personal point of view, I just think mustn't get carried away. Both my parents, as most people's parents, are in the high risk category, so it is a serious thing, 100%. But I think, you know, when I have to try and listen to what the advice being given by qualified individuals and not some blogger on fucking YouTube or Krug, or on Twitter, where everyone's got a fucking opinion on it, you know, you've got to be looking at who's saying it, you know, and not right. Okay, well that, you know, I saw some lady come on. I think it was Sky News. I mean, I was looking at her qualification was she was a health worker, which listen, don't get me wrong, health workers at the moment are very, very important people. But I mean, what does that mean? Health is she, you know, is she a qualified doctor giving this advice? Is it, you know, because she's, so it's just, you know, of course the media's feeding off it as well. So you've got a frenzy, you know, it's going to affect 60, 70, 80% of people. Yeah. It will. The question is, what's it going to do to us? You know, and I think that's what scares most people. You know.
Shall I tell you? Actually, right, I was just thinking about it as you was talking. The type of people that believe that coronavirus comes from corona, or would think that. Yeah, these are. Like, you'll agree with this, right? Listen to this. Yeah. You know when you're watching like EastEnders or something. Yeah. And there's like a bad character in there who's like killed or raped someone in the soap. Yeah. Then they see that person in real life and go and scream abuse at them. You scumbag, what you did to Whitney. Those people are the people that would believe that.
I think you've narrowed it down there. But
there are people like that. I know there are.
Once again, I try not to socialise with those sort of people. I have got a couple of mates who are that way inclined.
I'll tell you something, right? I was in Holby City, right, about 10 years ago. I was a heroin dealer, right? And my scene was like, I was in a car. This woman, Asian woman, comes out, sits in the car, and she's got this like big headgear on, and she unravels her headgear to reveal little balls of heroin that she's giving to me. So I was in my local about 2 weeks after, and I won't name her, but a girl come up to me drunk and asked me whether I had heroin because I swear this is a true story, I swear to God, right? She asked me whether I had any heroin on me because she'd seen me on Holby City. I swear to God that happened. That is the type of person I'm talking about.
I was going to ask, what pub was that?
It wasn't the pub, it was the woman.
You know, I think though, yeah, there are people that get hyper excited and influenced by media. It's the same people, I guess. Who would, yeah, you're probably right. All I'd say is that I try to surround myself in my life away from those sort of people.
I know, but they're not in my immediate company. I'm just saying you can't stop who comes up to you and asks you if you're a heroin dealer.
I didn't think you had that wrong. It's a cheeky wrong.
Yeah.
It's a cheeky.
It was a good little bit. It was probably on for about 90 seconds, and yeah.
Time, isn't it? Well, Hobby City was big at the time as well. Yeah, I remember. It was a.
If anyone can find that clip, I will give a prize. I know we've just done a giveaway. I will give a prize to spend one day with Kalle Sauerland.
And I was just about to say, I was for a night out with KUGAN.
And I tell you what, a night out, yeah.
We got to get that clip. We got to enjoy that clip, and then we'll take him out for a night.
I'll tell you what, if you can find the clip. Yeah, not the one where that woman asked me, yeah. If you can find that clip, the first one to send me that clip via Instagram, Twitter, me on Holby City, because I can't find it and I don't know where it is. I could probably get it from the BBC, but anyway. But we will take you out. Me and Kalle. What?
I doubt they have that on archive.
They've got everything on archive, of course.
Not Holby City.
Holby City was good, you just said it. Yeah, we'll take you out on a night out. A KUGAN and Kalle night out.
A night out. In as soon as the virus has died.
If you can send it in the next few days, we'll take you to Riga. Fair?
You put me on the spot there. That's a very fast.
IFL will pay for the flight.
Right, we'll do that.
If not, we'll do it back in London. All right, Kat.
We'll do that.
Yeah?
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Everyone's gonna be like, well, I don't know if they actually care because I don't think I would be, but. Kalle Sauerland, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and yeah, we look forward to Riga next week, Latvia, Saturday night, live on Sky Sports, the final.
Hashtag the final, looking forward to it. Stay safe. That was an over and out from me.
Oh, sorry, I thought you was going to go more. Thank you very much, Kalle Sauerland.